control. Breach in 5, 4, 3.
What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom coming to you again on a glorious and well-deserved day off. Thank God for that. So, guys, today we're going to look at something that honestly I never thought about when I got into guns, but the more and more I've gotten into guns, the more it has become a really critical deciding factor on guns that I want to purchase, and that is why aftermarket support is so important to your firearms life. So, guys, if that sounds fun and interesting to you, go ahead and like, subscribe, tell a friend, because we're going to go over a few things today that honestly I wish somebody had told me. So, guys, why is aftermarket support so important when you're dealing with buying a handgun? It's more critical when we talk about handguns than it is for rifles, because usually with rifles we're talking, some things 700s versus this versus, ARs. Or pretty much everybody makes something for an AR because it's kind of a standardized platform. But when we talk about handguns, the game changes pretty drastically, actually. Sorry if I'm blinking, guys. Contact is moving around. So we have the top three, the king of the heap as we look at it for handguns, and that is Smith & Wesson, SIG, and Glock. If you are running one of those three, odds are you can get almost anything you want for those three handguns. It's out there. It exists. Somebody makes it. From the smallest subcompact of a Glock to the largest of the large Glock 34s, from any of the SIG 320s to the P365s to the M&Ps to the Shields, you can find stuff for those guns because everybody makes something for it. But once we get off of that train and we start looking at other guns that people like FN or CZ, Canic, or some of these other ones, it becomes really hard to find stuff for it. And usually if you do find it, it is prohibitively expensive. Think staccato mags, like $90 a mag. So if we look at how things are, one of the biggest things for me is you got to have extra mags for your handgun, right? And staccato is a great example of this. Staccatos are amazing and they are fun to shoot. However, it's like $90 per mag for a staccato mag. And if you needed 6 to 10 of those mags, you can see where this becomes a very expensive problem. But we take something like SIG or Glock or Smith & Wesson. SIG and Glock kind of rule the roost in this because, yes, you can buy standard Glock mags, and standard, normal Glock mags are really inexpensive in the ground of things. SIG is a little more expensive. We're talking mid-30s to $50 per mag sometimes, depending on which one you get. Smith & Wesson is a little cheaper than that. But I can also get ETS mags. I can get Magpul mags for Glock. I can get ETS mags for SIG. I can buy less expensive mags, even high cap versions, and actually go run them on the range and use them as a training tool while I carry my factory mags for defensive use. I can buy mags for way cheaper. Take this mag, for example. This is a Glock slimline mag, so for the 43X or 48, this is a $20 mag. I think most of the time you'll find them, they're about $23 to $25, but I can buy an ETS mag, the same size, that'll run that gun for $10. We start talking about some of the other Glocks. You've got KCI, you've got Magpul. I'm waiting on Magpul to make a version for this. Palmetto States jumped on and started making mags for the slimlines. You can get inexpensive magazines for training and then have your stockpile of good mags for your carry ammo. But when we start talking about things like staccatos or CZs, hell, CZs, I love CZs, but this is a $42 magazine for my CZ, right? That's $42 for me to buy it. And there is a company that makes mags for everything. It's called ProMag. Friends don't let friends buy ProMag. They're terrible. They're out of spec most of the time. They don't feed. They're unreliable. Please don't do it unless you want to practice clearing malfunctions all day. Buy a decent mag. But I'm going to spend more money to outfit my CZs with mags than I ever will a Glock, a Smith & Wesson, or a SIG. It's just how it works because they're more mainstream and the aftermarket support is there. Same deal with we start talking about red dot options and stuff like that. Unless it takes a standardized footprint or you need a proprietary anything from a company, your life just got way harder. Another great one is holsters. If you get onto the 3 holster companies I really like, T-Rex Arms, Tenacore, and Tier 1 Concealed, you can find a holster guaranteed for a lot of guns. But you can find a holster for your core guns, your SIG, your Smith & Wesson, and your Glock from about any company because it's a standard form. They've been around forever. Everybody makes parts for them because they're so prolific. Same deal when we talk about going with like wanting to replace your sights. Ameriglow, Trigicon, some other companies, they make sights. Everybody makes a sight for Glock. Almost everybody makes sights for SIG. And almost everybody makes sights for M&P. However, your options for sights for like CZ get kind of limited. Your sights for other companies get kind of limited. They're still going to make them, but you're not going to have the same options or, customization availability for doing your sights, picking specific heights and stuff like that, unless you've got one of these major brands. And if you do, it's going to be harder to find and more expensive. And then we start talking about internals. Everybody likes tinkering with guns. We all do. We like changing triggers. We like changing springs out. We like, customizing things and putting different colored, different things in there, better barrels. Maybe you want a threaded barrel. You want a different recoil spring. I guarantee you the first companies that get that stuff made for them are SIG, Glock, and Smith & Wesson, because those are the companies selling the most of the guns, and they have a massive aftermarket support. You want to do the same thing. Take my CZ, for example, right? So my CZ, there's like one company that makes stuff for this handgun, right? The Cajun Gun Works, they make the trigger. You can get Cajun sights. You can get a Cajun, recoil assembly. The mags, I'm going to have to go, if I want reliable mags, from CZ itself, but I'm really limited as to what I can do. You're not going to find aftermarket extended mag base plates for these magazines because it's just not something that companies make. However, it's very easy for me to find an extended base plate for a Glock 48 mag or a Glock 19 mag or a 22 mag, or, I can find them for those things. Also, if you want to do fancier stuff to your gun, kind of race gun stuff out, you wanted a mag well, or you wanted extended mag releases, or you wanted extended controls on here, or a different trigger, or different colored pins, a different color or style takedown lever. You want different sights. You want to change your screws out to make them a different color. Somebody makes that for Glock, SIG, and Smith & Wesson. It gets infinitely harder to do the same thing unless you're running like a CZ Shadow, which is a good race gun. It gets infinitely harder to do these things because the aftermarket support is nowhere near as great as it is for the main three brands. That also means that things you do will be more expensive, and it is something you should definitely look at, people in the back, when you go to select your next handgun, which is you like doing things to your handgun, you like having options with your handgun. You need to look at, can I find those things for my handgun? Can I afford to buy the things I want to do for my handgun? I adore my P07, but I will tell you it's going to cost me $200 to have the slide mill to mount an optic on it. My sights are going to be more expensive than they would normally be because I have to get them from like specific people. My trigger set was more expensive than it would have been to do an upgraded trigger in a Glock because it only came from Cajun Gun Works. It's badass and it's amazing, but it was more expensive than it would have been to do the exact same treatment on a Glock. But then again, a Glock isn't a P07, and if you're truly in love with that kind of a gun, just understand that, again, part of that real cost of gun ownership is going to be, things are going to be a little more expensive if you're running something that's not from some of the core three brands. So keep that in the back of your head when you go to select stuff, because it would suck. This is another big one for weapon lights. If you are not running something that fits in a TLR1 or an X300 footprint or a TLR7 footprint, you are not going to find a holster from like the big manufacturers for your O-Light, which is another reason that buying mainstream proven quality stuff is always going to be easier for you to adapt and use and do this stuff with than it is to buy an obscure brand. Don't buy cheap stuff because it's cheap. Find a sale and buy a Streamlight. Buy a Surefire. Buy something that you can use, that you can get support so that you can actually carry the thing. I can't tell you how many posts I see online that are, where can I get a good inside the waistband holster for this with my O-Light this, or for my, Sun 2 Zoo, whatever, Amazon special light. You're not going to. Buy good stuff, main stuff for some of your big stuff, because it's going to make your life easier when you go to actually have the aftermarket support to make those items work. If you trash your Streamlight light, they are going to help you out, get you the right parts, get it repaired. If you trash your Surefire, the same thing will happen. Mod Light's really good about it. Um, you are you just a cloud defensive, also great. Just understand that if you are buying outside of the scope of that main brand, be aware that it's going to cost you probably more time and money to do the exact same thing that another guy does. But then again, if you really want to be special and outside of the box, who cares what other people think? It's your money, spend it how you want to. So guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Again, like, subscribe, tell a friend, because we are growing. It's fantastic. If you've got questions, comments, or concerns for me, you can find me at UncleFreedom213 on Instagram or UncleFreedom213 at Outlook.com. Shoot me an email. I'll be glad to help you out any way that I can. So until next time, guys, take care of yourself, take care of each other. I'll see you later.